Welcome back. Today, we're diving deep into the powerful and often overlooked story of USS Abraham Lincoln, SSBN-602, a silent giant of the Cold War and one of the most important ballistic missile submarines ever to serve the United States Navy. This is not the aircraft carrier most people think of when they hear the name Abraham Lincoln. This story belongs to a different kind of warship, one that operated far from public view, beneath the waves, carrying the weight of nuclear deterrence on its steel hull and the fate of global peace on the shoulders of its crew. USS Abraham Lincoln was a George Washington-class ballistic missile submarine, part of the very first generation of nuclear-powered submarines designed specifically to carry intercontinental ballistic missiles. Her story begins at the height of the Cold War, a time when the world was locked in a tense standoff between nuclear superpowers. Every decision, every patrol, and every silent movement beneath the ocean carried enormous consequences. The submarine was built by Newport News Shipbuilding in Virginia, one of America's most important naval shipyards. Her keel was laid in 1958, during a period of rapid technological advancement driven by fear, competition, and the urgent need to stay ahead of the Soviet Union. She was launched in June 1960 and officially commissioned into the U.S. Navy on March 1, 1961. From the moment she entered service, USS Abraham Lincoln was not meant to be seen or celebrated in public. Her mission was secrecy, endurance, and absolute reliability. As a nuclear-powered submarine, Abraham Lincoln could remain submerged for months at a time, limited only by food supplies and the stamina of her crew. This was revolutionary. Unlike diesel-electric submarines that needed to surface or snorkel regularly, nuclear submarines could disappear into the depths, making them nearly impossible to track. This ability made ballistic missile submarines the most survivable leg of America's nuclear triad. USS Abraham Lincoln was armed with Polaris ballistic missiles, a game-changing weapon system at the time. These missiles allowed the submarine to strike targets thousands of miles away while remaining hidden underwater. Each patrol she conducted served as a powerful message to America's adversaries. Even if the United States were attacked, a devastating response would follow from the depths of the ocean. This concept, known as deterrence, was the cornerstone of Cold War strategy. Life aboard USS Abraham Lincoln was demanding, intense, and psychologically challenging. The crew lived in cramped conditions, surrounded by machinery, steel walls, and the constant hum of the nuclear reactor. Privacy was nearly non-existent. Sailors worked long shifts, often losing track of day and night as the submarine remained submerged for weeks on end. Yet despite the hardships, morale was maintained through discipline, camaraderie, and the deep sense of purpose shared by everyone on board. The submarine operated with two rotating crews, known as the Blue Crew and the Gold Crew. This system allowed USS Abraham Lincoln to maximize time at sea while ensuring the crew remained sharp and rested. While one crew conducted a deterrent patrol, the other trained and prepared for the next deployment. This rotation was vital to sustaining the relentless pace demanded by nuclear deterrence missions. During her patrols, USS Abraham Lincoln would quietly leave port and vanish into the vastness of the ocean. Her exact location was known only to a handful of senior commanders. Even today, many details of her missions remain classified. What is known is that she spent countless days on deterrent patrols, ready to launch her missiles if ordered, yet hoping that order would never come. The early 1960s were some of the most dangerous years of the Cold War, and USS Abraham Lincoln was on duty during moments when the world came frighteningly close to nuclear war. Events like the Cuban Missile Crisis in 1962 pushed tensions to the brink. Although specific patrol details remain secret, submarines like Abraham Lincoln played a critical role in ensuring that the United States maintained a credible second strike capability throughout these crises. Technologically, USS Abraham Lincoln represented both innovation and limitation. As a first-generation ballistic missile submarine, her systems were groundbreaking, but they would eventually be surpassed by newer designs. The Polaris missiles she carried were later upgraded, but the rapid pace of naval technology meant that newer submarines with greater missile capacity, improved stealth, and advanced electronics would soon enter service. Despite this, USS Abraham Lincoln continued to serve reliably throughout the 1960s. She underwent refits and upgrades to extend her operational life and keep her systems effective. Each maintenance period was carefully planned, as returning a ballistic missile submarine to sea as quickly as possible was always a priority. For the sailors who served aboard her, USS Abraham Lincoln was more than a war machine. She was home, workplace, and responsibility all in one. Many crew members later spoke about the unique bond formed during long patrols, a bond forged by shared hardship, trust, and the knowledge that everyone's actions mattered. A single mistake could endanger the entire boat. By the late 1970s, strategic needs were changing. Newer ballistic missile submarines, such as the Ohio class, were entering service with more advanced missiles and significantly improved capabilities. As arms control agreements like SALT began to reshape nuclear strategy, older submarines like USS Abraham Lincoln were gradually phased out. In 1977, USS Abraham Lincoln was decommissioned after more than 16 years of service. Her active career may seem short compared to surface ships, but in the world of nuclear deterrence, her contribution was immense. She had spent thousands of hours submerged, silently guarding the balance of power during one of the most volatile periods in human history. Following decommissioning, she entered the Navy's nuclear-powered ship and submarine recycling program. This process was carefully designed to safely dismantle nuclear vessels, recover usable materials, and properly dispose of radioactive components. By the early 1980s, USS Abraham Lincoln had been fully dismantled, her physical form gone, but her legacy firmly embedded in naval history. The importance of USS Abraham Lincoln, SSBN-602, lies not in battles fought or enemies sunk, but in wars that never happened. Her existence, and the existence of submarines like her, helped prevent nuclear conflict by ensuring that no adversary could ever strike the United States without facing catastrophic consequences. Today, her name lives on, most famously carried by USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN-72, a massive nuclear-powered aircraft carrier. While the carrier sails openly across the world's oceans, representing American power and diplomacy, the submarine Abraham Lincoln served in silence, embodying a different kind of strength, one rooted in patience, secrecy, and restraint. The story of USS Abraham Lincoln is a reminder that history is not only shaped by dramatic battles and visible victories. Sometimes, it is shaped by unseen patrols, quiet professionalism, and the constant readiness to act, even when action is never taken. Beneath the waves, far from headlines and public recognition, this submarine and her crew stood watch during humanity's most dangerous standoff. As we look back today, USS Abraham Lincoln, SSBN-602, stands as a symbol of a generation of sailors who accepted immense responsibility in absolute silence. Their mission was simple in words but heavy in consequence: deter war, protect peace, and remain ready at all times. Because of submarines like Abraham Lincoln, and the people who served aboard her, the Cold War remained cold, and the world stepped back from the edge of nuclear catastrophe. And that is the remarkable, quiet, and powerful story of USS Abraham Lincoln, a submarine that helped shape history without ever being seen.